My colleague, Mary Annette Pember, has taken a minute to join me and talk about your road trip. And I actually ran into you in Spearfish, South Dakota at the South Dakota Book Festival, which was just awesome to see you in person after Zooming with you for.
I know, right?
And I did go to your talk, and I bought the book and I finally read it. And I interviewed you right after the book was done, and didn't really know what was in it, but bravo.
Oh,
What a beautiful book. Thank you very much for writing that.
Bonjour, Gakanoya, Baba Monakwik, and Jabbar, Mom, and Dudem. I like to speak a little Ojibwe when I can, especially in front of groups, and it's something my mother would have been so proud of and never could have dreamt in a million years. That in front of such a fine group of people that people would be allowed to speak Ojibwe, so I always did that to honor her a little bit. I wanted to just
What did you
recognize-
find out that surprised you?
there's a lot of violence in our communities. And I don't know if that really, unfortunately, it didn't surprise me, but, I just stumbled on this event that people were having in Eagle Butte on the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe reservation there. And it wasn't really tied to what we think of as the MMIP month or anything, but just that there have been so many losses and people really felt like they wanted to offer, families and so on in the community some sort of recognition and healing. And so they had an event. They had a bunch of red dresses that they had put up. And what I thought was really poignant was that the people that were organizing it said they ran out of material to represent all of the dresses. And they also did for men too. They didn't, it wasn't just women that they recognized, but there were also a lot of young people. And I suspect some of them, passed away because of suicide and so on. But over this past summer, they had a lot of loss. And I think the community is just really grieving.
Let's turn and talk a little bit about your book that was out this spring, Medicine River. It's an account of your family's experience in boarding schools and how that impacted, frankly, generations of your people.
My mom and her relatives ended up having to go to the sister school. Some people were able to do, they were day scholars and they were able to go home. And I think even though those folks were really poor, of course, they still got that family connection, which was so important. But my mom, there was no place to go, so they had to live there. They had to board there. And it was a very shameful experience for her. I think, she kind of blamed herself. And I think kids do that. The incentive to motivation to write Medicine River was I began looking into that. Why is my family, why do we have so many isms? Why do we struggle so much? And I really wanted to understand that. And so I just started, and you know how I am, I get obsessed with stuff. So I started just going down these, kind of rat holes of various things like historical trauma and the impact on us when when really, really bad things happened to our parents. And for a long, especially over a long period of time, it tends to have a formative impact on their brains and on their behavior. So not surprisingly. And of course, then subsequently on how they raise their kids. To me, I stopped being quite so angry at my mom. And, being angry at somebody takes a lot of energy. At least it did for me. And so being kind of relieved of that, I have found to be really a blessing in my life.
A lot of people will find the depth of research that you did to put this book together very helpful.
Well, thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, it does reflect a lot of work, and I thought that was really important. I remember early on when I was going to university, I actually took a class from this woman named who kind of Gerta Lerner. She kind of founded women's history as a real science as a discipline. And one of the things she told us, she was really, really hard. She was really hard on us, very strict. And she said, if you're coming up with sort of new scholarship, or, a new discipline, you better be sure you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. It's very important. Otherwise, you can so easily be dismissed by the academy and by others. And I suppose I can still be dismissed. It's always possible. But, I think it is important that we this is not something we've made up out of whole cloth. These are not just the experiences of a few people. There is some science behind this and some research behind it. And of course, my great hope is that people will go on because that they will use, the resources that I share in Medicine River to do more research because there's so much yet to be done.
Thank you, Mary Annette, for joining me on the ICT Newscast.
Well, as always, thanks for having me, Shirley.